Welcome back, American Coin Hunter. The year 1987 marked an interesting chapter in the history of United States coinage, particularly for the humble 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, which has always held a special place in the hearts of collectors, investors, and everyday Americans. While on the surface, the 1987 penny may appear as just another ordinary copper-plated zinc coin, a closer look reveals a fascinating story of errors, rare variations, and the complex interplay between mintage practices, die errors, and market demand that has catapulted certain specimens into the realm of extraordinary value. The 1987 cent, particularly those with errors, has attracted significant attention in the numismatic community, with market values soaring into the millions and reports of the total potential worth of all coins with notable errors from that year approaching staggering figures, estimated to be in the region of $281 million when considering rare, high-grade specimens combined with error coins and varieties that are in high demand among collectors globally. Understanding the intricacies of this coin requires a dive into its specifications, the history of its design, its production process at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and the nature of the errors that have made some coins highly coveted. The standard 1987 penny measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter and has a weight of 2.5 grams, a specification consistent with pennies minted after 1982, following the shift from the traditional 95% copper composition to a primarily zinc core with a thin copper plating. This transition was initially controversial among collectors and the general public, but it ultimately allowed the U.S. Mint to continue producing large volumes of coins efficiently while maintaining the familiar copper appearance that Americans had come to associate with their pennies. Despite this seemingly minor change in composition, the weight, thickness, and dimensions of the coin remain carefully regulated, and even minor deviations due to die errors, planchet anomalies, or improper striking can result in a coin that attracts the attention of serious collectors. The obverse, or front side of the 1987 penny, features the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose visage has graced the cent since 1909 in commemoration of his 100th birthday. The design itself, created by Victor David Brenner, is characterized by a detailed depiction of Lincoln in profile facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the top edge, "Liberty" to the left of the portrait, and the date, 1987, to the right. A small mint mark, either P for Philadelphia or D for Denver, sits just beneath the year in some cases, though Philadelphia coins of this era often bear no mint mark. These subtle details become critical when evaluating coins for authenticity, rarity, and potential errors, as even a missing or doubled mint mark can significantly increase a coin's value. The reverse of the 1987 penny retains the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. This reverse showcases the Lincoln Memorial in meticulous detail, with the words "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Unum" encircling the top, and 1 cent inscribed at the bottom. Within the memorial, miniature depictions of Lincoln himself can be faintly seen, although only under close examination or magnification. The precision of this engraving and the alignment of the die during striking are critical factors that can produce variations and errors. In some exceptional cases, coins from this year exhibit doubling on the date, lettering, or even parts of the design, known as double die errors, which are highly prized in the numismatic world and can transform a seemingly ordinary cent into a rare collector's item worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on its condition and rarity. The most intriguing aspect of the 1987 penny is the existence of certain error coins, particularly the so-called 1987 double die obverse penny. This error occurs during the die creation process, where the die used to strike coins is accidentally impressed with the design twice in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect on the date, lettering, or other elements of the coin. In 1987, several pennies were struck with a noticeable doubling of the inscriptions "Liberty" and the date, which are immediately apparent to those familiar with the subtle nuances of coin examination. These double die pennies are not just numismatic curiosities. They represent a tangible intersection of human error, mechanical precision, and the passage of history, and they have become a centerpiece of collections for both amateur and professional collectors. In addition to double die errors, other types of minting errors also occurred in 1987, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. Off-center strikes happen when the planchet, the blank piece of metal destined to become a coin, is not properly aligned under the press during striking, resulting in a coin with part of its design missing or shifted. Clipped planchets occur when the metal blank is improperly cut, leaving a coin with a missing portion along one edge. Die cracks, which manifest as raised lines on the coin where the die has developed a fissure, can occur after extensive use of the die in production and are often collected as accidental design features. Each of these errors contributes to the 1987 penny's allure and, when preserved in high-grade condition, can dramatically increase a coin's market value. The value of a 1987 penny with a notable error varies widely depending on the type of error, its rarity, and the coin's condition, typically graded on the Sheldon scale from poor, 1 to mint state, 70. For a standard 1987 penny in circulated condition, the value remains close to face value, generally 1 cent. However, for error coins in uncirculated condition, values can skyrocket. A 1987 double die obverse penny in pristine mint state condition can fetch several $1,000s in auction settings, while rarer varieties or coins with exceptional eye appeal have been known to approach six-figure valuations. When extrapolating the potential total market value of all high-grade error coins from 1987, experts estimate the figure could reach approximately $281 million, accounting for all known specimens held by collectors, dealers, and private investors around the world. This figure highlights not only the demand for these coins, but also the extraordinary impact that small variations and errors can have on the perceived value of everyday objects. The history behind the 1987 penny also reflects broader trends in U.S. coinage, economics, and culture. During the late 1980s, the United States was experiencing economic expansion, and the production of coins had to meet the demands of everyday transactions. The transition to zinc cores and the mass production of pennies made it more likely that errors could occur, particularly with high-speed presses operating millions of times each year. Collectors and historians alike note that coins like the 1987 penny serve as cultural artifacts, reflecting not only the economy, but also the technological limitations and human oversight inherent in large-scale production. Moreover, the fascination with penny errors transcends simple monetary value. These coins become storytelling tools, conveying the unexpected ways in which small deviations can create lasting significance. Professional grading of 1987 error pennies is essential for those seeking to sell, purchase, or insure these coins. Services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, provide third-party authentication, assigning a grade that reflects the coin's condition and verifying the presence of any errors or varieties. Coins graded as MS 65 or higher with verified error designations command the highest prices, often at premium auction events. It is also worth noting that provenance and documentation can further enhance value, as coins with traceable histories or those previously owned by prominent collectors carry additional prestige in the market. The story of the 1987 1-cent coin becomes even more fascinating when we move deeper into the realities of how these coins were actually produced inside the United States Mint and how small, almost invisible moments during production turned into life-changing discoveries for collectors decades later. In 1987, the U.S. Mint was operating at extremely high speed. Millions upon millions of pennies were being struck every single day at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. These presses were designed for efficiency, not perfection, and while quality control existed, it was never meant to catch every microscopic mistake. This is where the magic of error coins truly begins. Every planchet passed through rolling machines, blanking presses, annealing furnaces, washing drums, upsetting mills, and finally high-pressure striking presses. At any one of these stages, a tiny malfunction, misalignment, or human oversight could permanently alter a coin's destiny. In 1987, most pennies were struck on zinc planchets coated with a very thin layer of copper, and this alone created opportunities for unusual errors. Some planchets were improperly plated, resulting in thin copper coatings that exposed zinc underneath. Over time, these coins developed unusual discoloration, bubbling, or peeling, creating dramatic visual effects that collectors later learned to identify as genuine mint errors rather than post-mint damage. In some rare cases, planchets intended for other denominations found their way into the penny presses, resulting in wrong planchet errors. A 1987 penny struck on a planchet intended for a different coin can weigh significantly more or less than the standard 2.5 grams, immediately signaling something extraordinary to anyone with a scale and knowledge of mint specifications. One of the most talked about categories among 1987 pennies is double die errors, particularly on the obverse. These errors occur during the die creation process, not during striking, which makes them especially valuable. When the die itself carries the doubling, every coin struck from that die carries the same mistake. In 1987, certain dies exhibited strong doubling on the date, on the word liberty, and sometimes even on "I in God we trust." Unlike machine doubling, which appears flat and shelf-like, true double die errors show rounded, separated impressions that look like shadows or echoes of the original design. Collectors who know what to look for can spot these differences under magnification, and once confirmed, such coins can instantly jump from being worth 1 cent to thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. The excitement surrounding 1987 double die pennies intensified as more examples surfaced from old rolls, forgotten jars, and estate collections. Many people who had saved pennies casually during the 1980s had no idea that they were holding onto coins that would later be scrutinized by numismatic experts. As awareness grew through coin magazines, dealer newsletters, and eventually the internet, demand skyrocketed. Coins that once sold quietly between collectors suddenly became auction highlights. The psychology of rarity plays a massive role here. Even though millions of 1987 pennies were produced, only a tiny fraction exhibit true, documented errors, and an even smaller fraction remain in high-grade condition. This imbalance between supply and demand is a major reason why the total market valuation for 1987 error pennies has reached estimates as high as $281 million when considering all known high-value specimens across private and public holdings. Another compelling error category for 1987 pennies involves off-metal strikes and transitional errors. While the official composition had shifted to zinc by this time, isolated instances of copper planchets or improperly prepared blanks still occasionally slip through. A penny struck on an incorrect composition not only feels different in hand, but also produces a different sound when dropped on a hard surface, something experienced collectors often use as a quick test. Weights alone can reveal astonishing differences, with some error coins weighing closer to pre-1982 copper pennies rather than the lighter zinc standard. These anomalies challenge assumptions about mint consistency and provide tangible proof that even modern coinage is not immune to rare and valuable mistakes. Die deterioration also played a role in the uniqueness of 1987 pennies. As dies were used repeatedly, fine cracks began to form, eventually transferring raised lines onto the coins themselves. While minor die cracks are common and usually hold little premium, dramatic die breaks, cuts, or retained cut errors from 1987 have become desirable collectibles. These errors appear as blobs of metal where part of the die broke away, leaving a void that fills with metal during striking. The result is a coin that looks almost melted or deformed, yet remains a legitimate product of the U.S. Mint. When such coins are well preserved and visually striking, they can command impressive prices, especially when paired with clear documentation and professional grading. Professional grading has transformed the market for 1987 error pennies. Before third-party grading services became mainstream, collectors relied heavily on trust and personal expertise. Today, coins encapsulated by respected grading companies carry a level of confidence that attracts serious investors. A 1987 penny graded in mint state with a recognized error designation can sell for multiples of what the same coin would fetch raw. High grades such as MS 66, MS 67, or higher exponentially increase value because they indicate not only rarity of error, but also exceptional preservation. These coins survive decades without circulation wear, fingerprints, corrosion, or damage, which is remarkable for a denomination often overlooked and mishandled. The market behavior surrounding 1987 pennies also reflects broader trends in alternative investing. As traditional assets fluctuate, collectibles like rare coins have gained attention as tangible stores of value. The penny, once dismissed as insignificant, has become a symbol of hidden wealth and overlooked potential. Stories circulate within the numismatic community of individuals discovering valuable 1987-era pennies in inherited collections or even pocket change, fueling the dream that extraordinary value can still be found in ordinary places. These narratives drive engagement on platforms like YouTube, where videos showcasing rare pennies attract millions of views and inspire viewers to search their own collections. The symbolism embedded in the 1987 penny adds another layer of appeal. Abraham Lincoln's image represents integrity, unity, and resilience, values that resonate strongly with collectors. The inscriptions, "I in God we trust," "Liberty," and "E pluribus unum" reflect foundational ideals of the United States, turning the coin into more than just a monetary object. When these symbols appear doubled, misaligned, or altered due to errors, they create a striking visual metaphor for imperfection within structure, a reminder that even systems built on precision are shaped by human involvement. This philosophical aspect often goes unspoken, but contributes subtly to the emotional value collectors place on error coins as time passes. The pool of high-grade 1987-era pennies continues to shrink. Coins are lost, damaged, or permanently removed from the market into long-term collections. This natural attrition further increases scarcity and supports long-term value growth. Auction results over recent years demonstrate a steady upward trend, with particularly dramatic examples achieving record prices. When experts aggregate these individual valuations across known specimens, the cumulative figure approaches the astonishing $281 million mark, a number that would have seemed impossible for 1-cent coins just a few decades ago. The 1987 penny's journey from mass-produced currency to sought-after collectible illustrates a central truth of numismatics. Value is not determined solely by denomination, but by rarity, story, condition, and demand. Every error coin from that year represents a frozen moment in the minting process, a mechanical hiccup or human oversight that created something unrepeatable. For collectors, holding a 1987-era penny is like holding a piece of controlled chaos, a reminder that history often hides its treasures in plain sight, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to look closely. As the exploration of the 1987 1-cent coin continues, the deeper layers of its legacy reveal how collector psychology, market behavior, and long-term scarcity transformed this small coin into a powerhouse of attention and money. What truly separates the 1987 penny from countless other modern cents is not just the existence of errors, but the timing of their discovery and the era in which collectors began to seriously reevaluate modern coinage. For many years, collectors focused almost exclusively on older coins, believing that modern coins were too common to ever become valuable. The 1987 penny quietly sat in collections, rolls, drawers, and jars, underestimated and overlooked, until a shift in numismatic thinking changed everything. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, collectors began realizing that modern era coins could be just as rare, and sometimes rarer, than their older counterparts. The sheer volume of coins produced in 1987 made it statistically unlikely that many era coins would survive in pristine condition. Most pennies entered circulation immediately, suffering wear, scratches, corrosion, and damage. This reality created a powerful paradox. Although millions of pennies were minted, truly collectible examples with strong errors and high grades became incredibly scarce. Scarcity drives desire, and desire drives value. This fundamental economic principle is at the heart of why 1987-era pennies now command astonishing prices and contribute to an overall market valuation estimated around $281 million. Collectors also began to understand the importance of subtlety. Not all valuable 1987 errors are dramatic or immediately obvious. Some of the most sought-after examples show delicate doubling that requires magnification and experience to recognize. Light doubling on Lincoln's eye, ear, or jawline, slight separation in the letters of liberty, or thickness changes in the digits of the date can all signal a true double die. These subtle features often escape detection for decades, allowing sharp-eyed collectors to discover valuable coins long after they were minted. This delayed discovery phenomenon adds to the mystique of the 1987 penny and fuels the ongoing belief that more rare examples are still out there, waiting to be found. Another major factor contributing to the growing value of 1987 pennies is the evolution of documentation and attribution. As numismatic research advanced, experts began cataloging specific dies, classifying varieties, and assigning reference numbers. Once a particular 1987 double die or error variety was officially recognized and published, it gained legitimacy and demand. Collectors could now compete for known varieties rather than vague anomalies. This formal recognition dramatically increased prices almost overnight. Coins that previously sold for modest amounts suddenly became headline items at major auctions, with bidding wars pushing values into the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for exceptional specimens. The role of condition cannot be overstated. A 1987 penny with a strong error but heavyware may still be valuable, but the same coin in mint state condition can be worth exponentially more. Mint state coins preserve the original luster, strike detail, and surface integrity that collectors prize. For zinc-based pennies like those from 1987, preservation is particularly challenging. Zinc is reactive and prone to corrosion if the copper plating is compromised. Coins stored improperly often develop bubbling, dark spots, or peeling, which can severely reduce value. As a result, high-grade 1987 error pennies are incredibly rare, and their survival rate continues to decline over time, pushing values higher as years pass. The estimated $281 million market figure is not based on a single coin, but rather the combined value of all known high-grade error pennies from 1987 across collections worldwide. This includes coins held by private collectors, investors, dealers, museums, and long-term estates. Many of these coins rarely, if ever, appear for sale. Their values are inferred from past auction results, private sales, and insurance appraisals. When one of these coins does surface publicly, it often resets market expectations, establishing new benchmarks and reinforcing the perception that the 1987 penny is far more than pocket change. Emotion plays a powerful role in this market as well. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying stories. A 1987 penny represents a bridge between old and new numismatics, between copper tradition and modern zinc composition, between overlooked modern currency and elite collectible status. For many collectors, especially those who grew up during the 1980s, the coin carries nostalgia. Owning a valuable example from 1987 can feel like reclaiming a piece of personal history, now elevated by rarity and significance. This emotional attachment further intensifies demand and competition. The influence of digital media has amplified interest in 1987 pennies beyond traditional coin circles. Videos, forums, and social platforms have introduced millions of people to the concept of error coins. When viewers see ordinary-looking pennies selling for astonishing amounts, curiosity turns into motivation. People begin checking their own collections, rolls from banks, and inherited coin jars. Each new discovery story fuels the belief that hidden treasures still exist. This constant influx of new participants keeps the market dynamic and ensures sustained interest in coins like the 1987 penny. From an investment perspective, the 1987 era penny has proven surprisingly resilient. While markets fluctuate and trends come and go, truly rare coins with documented errors and high grades tend to hold or increase their value over time. Unlike paper assets, coins are tangible, finite, and immune to inflation in their physical form. The fact that no more 1987 pennies will ever be minted adds a permanent ceiling to supply. As demand grows and supply remains fixed or shrinks, upward pressure on value becomes almost inevitable. This is why some serious investors include modern era pennies as part of diversified collectible portfolios. The technical side of evaluating 1987 pennies has also evolved. Collectors today use high-resolution digital microscopes, precision scales, and advanced lighting techniques to examine coins in ways that were impossible in the past. These tools have led to the identification of new varieties and have refined the understanding of known errors. Each newly attributed variety adds depth to the 1987 penny story and expands the market by creating new categories of desirability. Even small discoveries can have outsized impacts on value when rarity and condition align. Ultimately, the 1987 1-cent coin stands as a powerful example of how value is not fixed but discovered over time. What began as a mass-produced object designed for everyday transactions has evolved into a symbol of rarity, patience, and attention to detail. The errors embedded in some of these coins are silent witnesses to the realities of industrial production and human imperfection. For collectors and enthusiasts, the 1987 penny is proof that history often hides its most remarkable stories in the smallest places, and that even a single cent can carry the weight of millions of dollars when rarity, demand, and time converge. As the narrative of the 1987 1-cent coin continues to unfold, it becomes impossible to ignore how deeply time itself has shaped both perception and value. When these pennies first entered circulation, they were treated no differently than any other cent. They passed through countless hands, jingled in pockets, slid across countertops, and disappeared into cash registers without a second glance. Yet time has a way of filtering the ordinary from the extraordinary. As decades passed, most 1987 pennies were worn down, damaged, lost, or destroyed, leaving behind only a small surviving population that retained sharp detail, original surfaces, and intact plating. Within that already reduced population, only a tiny fraction carried genuine mint errors. This double layer of attrition is one of the strongest forces behind the rising value of these coins. Collectors often speak about survival rates rather than mintage numbers, and the 1987 penny illustrates this concept perfectly. While hundreds of millions were originally produced, survival in collectible condition is what truly matters. Zinc-based cents are notoriously fragile. Once the copper plating is compromised, moisture and air can quickly attack the zinc core, causing swelling, blistering, and crumbling. Many potentially valuable coins were unknowingly ruined by improper storage in humid environments, plastic containers with harmful chemicals, or simple neglect. Every lost example increases the rarity of those that remain intact, quietly strengthening the market and reinforcing high valuations across the board. Another layer of fascination surrounding the 1987 penny lies in the unpredictability of error distribution. Errors were not evenly spread across production runs. Some dies produced only a handful of error coins before being corrected or replaced, while others struck thousands before detection. This randomness makes each confirmed error coin feel like a survivor of chance, a statistical anomaly that beat overwhelming odds. Collectors understand this intuitively, which is why owning such a coin carries a sense of privilege beyond its monetary value. It is not just rare, it is improbable. As awareness grew, competition among collectors intensified. High-profile auctions began showcasing modern error coins alongside classic rarities, legitimizing them in the eyes of traditional numismatists. When a 1987 error penny appeared in a major auction catalog, it signaled a shift in the hierarchy of collectibles. The humble cent was no longer confined to bargain bins or bulk lots. It was now worthy of spotlight presentation, professional photography, and detailed catalog descriptions. Each public sale created ripples through the market, influencing price expectations and encouraging collectors to reassess coins they might have previously ignored. The concept of registry sets further fueled demand. Collectors striving to build complete, high-grade sets of Lincoln cents suddenly needed the best possible examples from every year, including 1987. When error varieties were recognized as distinct entries, competition escalated dramatically. Two collectors vying for the finest known example of a specific 1987 error could drive prices to astonishing levels. In this environment, value becomes less about intrinsic metal worth and more about exclusivity, prestige, and the pursuit of perfection. The estimated $281 million market valuation tied to 1987 error pennies reflects not hype, but aggregation. It represents countless individual coins, each with its own story, grade, and desirability, collectively forming a powerful segment of the numismatic market. Some coins contribute modestly to this total, while a few elite specimens account for disproportionately large shares. These top-tier examples often reside in long-term collections, rarely changing hands, their values increasing quietly as benchmarks rise around them. Cultural shifts have also played a role. The modern world places growing value on uniqueness and authenticity, and error coins embody both. In a mass-produced society, anything that deviates from uniformity becomes special. The 1987 penny, flawed yet official, resonates with this mindset. It represents individuality within conformity, a small rebellion against mechanical perfection. This symbolic appeal may be subtle, but it influences how collectors emotionally connect with these coins and how much they are willing to pay to own them. Education has transformed casual interest into informed pursuit. As more collectors learn how to distinguish genuine mint errors from damage or machine doubling, confidence in the market grows. Knowledge reduces risk, and reduced risk invites investment. The clearer the criteria for authenticity and grading, the stronger the foundation for high values. The 1987 penny benefits greatly from this clarity, as many of its known errors are well documented and widely accepted within the numismatic community. Another important dimension is generational transition. Coins from 1987 now sit at a unique intersection of age and familiarity. They are old enough to be historic, but young enough to feel relatable. Collectors who were children or teenagers in the late 1980s now have the disposable income and motivation to pursue coins from their formative years. This generational nostalgia creates a powerful demand cycle, one that is likely to strengthen as time goes on rather than fade. The longer these coins exist, the more stories accumulate around them. Each discovery, each auction record, each newly attributed variety adds another layer to the narrative. The 1987 penny is no longer just a coin. It is a living chapter in the ongoing story of American numismatics. Its errors document the realities of industrial production. Its survival reflects decades of chance and carelessness, and its value mirrors changing attitudes toward modern collectibles. In the end, what makes the 1987 1-cent coin so compelling is not just what it is, but what it represents. It stands as proof that significance is not always obvious at birth, that value can emerge slowly through time, knowledge, and collective appreciation. From a single cent to a multi-million-dollar market, the journey of the 1987 penny reminds collectors and viewers alike that history is often hiding in plain sight, waiting patiently for someone to recognize its worth. The story of the 1987 1-cent coin continues to deepen as we examine how myths, misunderstandings, and real discoveries have intertwined over the years, shaping both public perception and serious numismatic study. As interest in modern era coins exploded, rumors naturally followed. Stories of pennies worth millions circulated widely, sometimes exaggerating individual coin values, but still pointing toward an undeniable truth. The collective importance of 1987-era pennies is immense. These stories, while occasionally overstated, played a crucial role in pulling attention toward coins that had long been dismissed as insignificant. Curiosity opened the door, and education refined it. Many people searching through 1987 pennies initially believed that any imperfection meant instant wealth. Over time, the market matured. Collectors learned to separate genuine mint errors from post-mint damage caused by circulation, environmental exposure, or intentional alteration. This learning curve strengthened the integrity of the market. As fewer questionable coins were presented as errors, confidence in verified examples increased. This refinement process pushed top-tier 1987-era pennies even higher in value, because buyers knew exactly what they were competing for. One of the most fascinating aspects of 1987 pennies is how quietly many important discoveries were made. Unlike dramatic archaeological finds, these coins often emerged from ordinary circumstances. A collector opening an old bankroll, a family sorting through a relative's belongings, or a dealer carefully examining bulk lots might suddenly notice something unusual. A slightly double-digit, an oddly shaped rim, an unexpected weight reading. These moments of realization, often happening at kitchen tables or under desk lamps, are central to the mystique of the 1987 penny. They reinforce the idea that discovery is still possible, that rarity is not always locked away in museums. As more error pennies were documented, patterns began to emerge. Certain types of errors appeared more frequently from specific mints or production periods. This allowed researchers to reconstruct partial histories of malfunctioning dies and presses. In effect, each error penny became a data point, helping numismatists understand how and when the minting process went wrong. The 1987 penny thus contributes not only to collecting but also to the technical history of U.S. coin production. Its errors are evidence, frozen in metal, of real events inside the mint decades ago. The role of long-term holding cannot be ignored. Many of the most valuable 1987 era pennies are owned by collectors who have no intention of selling. These individuals often view their coins as legacy items, something to pass down rather than cash out. This behavior further restricts supply and stabilizes the market. When coins do not re-enter circulation or frequent resale, their scarcity becomes more pronounced. Prices are then driven not by constant trading, but by rare, high-profile transactions that set new reference points for value. Insurance valuations also contribute to the overall $281 million figure associated with the 1987 penny market. Coins held in private collections are often insured based on replacement value, not purchase price. As auction records rise, insurance valuations follow. When these insured values are aggregated across thousands of high-quality error coins worldwide, the cumulative figure grows rapidly. This silent accumulation of value happens largely outside public view, reinforcing the idea that the true worth of the 1987 penny ecosystem extends far beyond what is visible in auction headlines. The educational impact of the 1987 penny has been profound. It has become a teaching tool for new collectors, illustrating key concepts such as die varieties, planchet errors, grading, and market dynamics. Coin clubs and online forums frequently use modern pennies like those from 1987 to demonstrate that valuable coins are not limited to ancient or gold pieces. This accessibility broadens participation in numismatics, bringing in younger collectors and sustaining the hobby's future. Psychologically, the appeal of the 1987 penny lies in contrast. It is small, common, and seemingly worthless, yet capable of extraordinary value. This contradiction captures attention in a way few collectibles can. It challenges assumptions and invites closer inspection. For many collectors, the penny becomes a symbol of hidden potential, reinforcing the belief that knowledge and patience can reveal value where others see none. This mindset extends beyond coins and becomes part of the collector's identity. Economic conditions have also played a role. Periods of uncertainty often drive interest in tangible assets, and coins benefit from this shift. Unlike paper currency or digital numbers, a coin is something you can hold, store, and display. The 1987 penny, with its established market and documented rarity, offers both familiarity and intrigue. It is modern enough to feel relevant, yet old enough to carry historical weight. This balance makes it particularly attractive during times when investors seek stability alongside growth. As years pass, fewer 1987 pennies remain undiscovered. Bank rolls are searched, collections are examined, and hoards are dispersed. This gradual exhaustion of new finds increases the importance of existing known examples. Each time a potential source dries up, the remaining coins become more valuable by default. This slow tightening of supply is subtle but relentless, ensuring that the story of the 1987 penny continues to evolve in favor of those who already hold verified, high-quality specimens. Ultimately, the 1987 1-cent coin occupies a unique place in numismatics. It is a bridge between eras, between old assumptions and new understanding. Its rise in importance reflects not just the presence of errors, but the collective awakening of collectors to the value of modern coinage. From quiet discoveries to multi-million-dollar market estimates, the journey of the 1987 penny demonstrates that value is not always immediate, and that sometimes the smallest objects carry the longest, richest stories. As the journey of the 1987 1-cent coin continues, attention naturally turns toward the long-term future of these coins and how time is expected to reshape their importance even further. One of the most powerful forces working in favor of 1987-era pennies is irreversibility. Nothing can reverse circulation wear, corrosion, loss, or destruction. Every year that passes quietly removes more coins from the pool of viable collectibles. Pennies are discarded, melted, damaged beyond recognition, or simply forgotten in environments that slowly degrade them. This steady erosion of supply happens without headlines, but its effect is profound. It ensures that surviving high-grade 1987-era pennies become increasingly rare, not through speculation, but through the unavoidable passage of time. Collectors who understand this dynamic often view their coins not as short-term assets, but as time capsules. A well-preserved 1987 penny today represents a condition that will be far harder to find in the future. Zinc cents are especially vulnerable, and this vulnerability amplifies scarcity. Even coins stored carefully can suffer from plating failures decades later. As a result, the number of truly stable, premium examples shrinks, reinforcing the long-term upward pressure on value. This natural attrition underpins the confidence many collectors have in the enduring strength of the 1987 penny market. Another factor shaping the future is institutional recognition. As museums, educational institutions, and major numismatic organizations expand their focus beyond classical coins, modern-era coins are gaining legitimacy. The 1987 penny, with its well-documented errors and strong collector following, is a prime candidate for long-term institutional inclusion. Once a coin type becomes part of formal collections and exhibits, it gains a layer of permanence and respect that further solidifies its standing in the market. Institutional interest also removes coins from private circulation, tightening supply even more. The role of technology in future discoveries cannot be overlooked. Advanced imaging, machine learning, and high-resolution scanning are already changing how collectors analyze coins. These tools may reveal previously unnoticed varieties or confirm subtle errors that were once debated. While this could slightly increase the number of recognized error types, it is unlikely to significantly expand the population of top-grade examples. Instead, technology will refine understanding, separate genuine rarities from false claims, and enhance confidence in the most important specimens. For 1987 pennies, this refinement is likely to increase value by clarifying rarity rather than diminishing it. Market maturity is another important consideration. The modern era coin market has evolved from speculative enthusiasm into a structured, knowledge-driven environment. Prices today are informed by data, grading standards, and historical trends rather than hype alone. The 1987 penny benefits greatly from this maturity. Its reputation is built on decades of research and documented sales, making it less vulnerable to sudden crashes driven by misinformation. As new collectors enter the hobby, they inherit a market with established benchmarks, reinforcing stability. The global nature of collecting also adds momentum. While the 1987 penny is an American coin, interest in U.S.-era coins extends worldwide. International collectors often view U.S. coinage as a benchmark of modern minting, and error coins represent the most intriguing deviations from that standard. As global participation grows, competition for top-quality examples intensifies. This international demand adds another layer of resilience to the market, ensuring that value is not dependent on a single region or demographic. Generational wealth transfer will play a critical role in the coming decades. Many of today's top collections will eventually pass to heirs or institutions. How these collections are handled will shape market dynamics. Coins that remain intact as collections will continue to restrict supply, while those that are dispersed may temporarily increase availability. However, even dispersal events often lead to price increases, as multiple collectors compete for pieces that were previously unavailable. The 1987 penny, already recognized as significant, is likely to be a highlight in such transitions. There is also an educational ripple effect. Every generation of collectors learns from the previous one, and the lessons taught by the 1987 penny are powerful. It demonstrates that careful observation matters, that modern coins can be rare, and that value often emerges slowly. These lessons shape collecting habits, encouraging more careful preservation of current coinage. Ironically, this may make future modern coins slightly less rare, but it does nothing to reduce the scarcity of 1987-era pennies, whose fate was largely sealed long before widespread awareness emerged. The emotional attachment collectors form with these coins also strengthens long-term value. Coins that inspire stories, discussions, and personal memories are less likely to be sold casually. The 1987 penny, often discovered in meaningful contexts, carries a narrative weight that goes beyond charts and price guides. This emotional dimension ensures that many coins remain off the market, held tightly by those who value them for reasons beyond profit. Looking ahead, the estimated $281 million market valuation associated with 1987-era pennies is not a ceiling, but a snapshot in time. As benchmarks rise, as fewer coins survive, and as new collectors join the field, this figure is likely to evolve. Whether it increases gradually or experiences sharper jumps depends on broader economic and cultural trends, but the underlying foundation remains strong. The combination of rarity, documentation, nostalgia, and narrative makes the 1987 penny uniquely positioned for long-term relevance. In the end, the future of the 1987 1-cent coin appears intertwined with the future of modern numismatics itself. It stands as a reference point, a case study, and a symbol. It reminds collectors that importance is not always immediate, that value can grow quietly, and that even the smallest denomination can leave an outsized mark on history. As time continues to pass, the story of the 1987 penny will not fade. It will deepen, gaining new layers of meaning and significance with every passing year. As the story moves forward, the 1987 1-cent coin begins to reveal its role not just as an object of collection, but as a mirror reflecting human behavior, patience, and perception of value. One of the most remarkable aspects of this coin's journey is how long it took for its importance to be recognized. For years, people unknowingly spent, discarded, or ignored coins that would later be celebrated. This delayed recognition highlights a central truth in numismatics. Value is often invisible until knowledge catches up. The 1987 penny sat quietly within the monetary system, performing its everyday function, while the seeds of rarity were already planted. Collectors who discovered early error examples often faced skepticism. Modern coins were dismissed as too common, too new, too insignificant. Yet those who trusted their understanding of minting processes and error mechanics quietly held onto their finds. As time passed and evidence accumulated, those early believers were vindicated. Their patience became a form of investment, not just financially, but intellectually. The 1987 penny rewarded those who looked closely when others did not. This dynamic has become a powerful lesson repeated within collector communities, reinforcing the importance of study and long-term vision. The concept of trust is deeply woven into the identity of the penny itself. The inscription, "In God We Trust," takes on an unintended double meaning in the context of error coins. Collectors trust their eyes, their knowledge, and the integrity of the minting process, even when it fails. They trust that imperfections can carry meaning rather than flaw. This philosophical layer adds depth to the collecting experience, turning a technical pursuit into something more reflective and personal. As markets evolved, the 1987 penny also became a benchmark against which other modern error coins were measured. When new discoveries from later years emerged, collectors often asked whether they could follow the same trajectory. Could another modern penny replicate the rise of 1987? This comparison only reinforced the uniqueness of that year. The specific combination of production methods, materials, oversight, and timing created conditions that are unlikely to be repeated in exactly the same way. That uniqueness strengthens the 1987 penny's standing as a reference point rather than just another collectible. The social aspect of collecting further enhanced the coin's prominence. Coin shows, club meetings, and online forums became spaces where stories of 1987 penny discoveries were shared and debated. Each story added to the collective mythology. Someone finding a double die in an old roll, another inheriting a small collection with a rare error tucked inside, another rediscovering coins saved decades earlier. These shared experiences transformed the 1987 penny into a communal symbol, something that connected collectors across generations and backgrounds. There is also a quiet discipline involved in preserving such coins. Proper storage, careful handling, and restraint from overcleaning are essential. Many early discoveries were unintentionally damaged by well-meaning owners who attempted to clean or polish their coins, unaware that originality is a cornerstone of value. These losses became cautionary tales, emphasizing the importance of education. Every damaged coin became a reminder that rarity alone is not enough. Preservation completes the equation. The economic narrative surrounding the 1987 penny is inseparable from human emotion. Fear of missing out, excitement of discovery, pride of ownership, and satisfaction of knowledge all play roles in shaping demand. These emotions do not follow strict logic, yet they consistently influence markets. The penny's rise demonstrates how emotion and rational analysis coexist in collecting. Charts and grades matter, but so does the thrill of holding something special that others may never possess. As decades pass, fewer first-hand witnesses remain who remember the coin's entry into circulation. This transition subtly shifts the penny from lived memory to historical artifact. What was once everyday currency becomes a relic of a specific moment in time. This transformation elevates the coin's status and reinforces its narrative power. The 1987 penny begins to speak not just of mint errors, but of an era of economic conditions, of technological practices that are already fading into history. The idea of completeness also influences collectors' attachment. Those building long-term Lincoln cent collections often see the 1987 penny as essential, not optional. Its absence feels like a gap, not because of face value, but because of meaning. When an error variety fills that gap, it becomes a highlight rather than a footnote. This desire for completeness ensures sustained demand, particularly for well-documented and high-grade examples. Over time, the market has learned to respect silence. Not every valuable coin needs constant promotion. Many of the most important 1987 pennies remain unseen, resting quietly in collections. Their absence from public view does not diminish their value, it enhances it. Silence becomes scarcity, and scarcity becomes strength. When one of these coins does reappear, it carries with it the weight of anticipation built over years of absence. Ultimately, the 1987 1-cent coin teaches that value is a conversation between time, knowledge, and human behavior. It is not static, nor is it guaranteed. It emerges when people choose to look closer, to care more deeply, and to preserve what others overlook. The penny's journey continues not because of metal or denomination, but because of meaning. As long as collectors seek stories hidden in small places, the 1987 penny will remain a powerful reminder that significance often arrives quietly, long after the moment of creation has passed.